Our next speaker, he works for Mozilla. He's going to tell us all about what they've been doing in the past, what they are doing now, and what they are going to do in the future. Christian Hermann.
Hello, hello. Okay, I can't hear myself, that's a good start, but I hope you can hear me, so that's good. So I'm going to give the same talk more or less that I gave at the Campusparty in Brazil, which was almost the same thing as here, except it was about half the people who were about 10 times as loud. So it was an interesting thing coming in here and seeing the difference between the Campusparty there and here. So it's good to see. Also, the wired thing is quite interesting, but at least we have connectivity, because there it fell down all the time, which was not good. So I'm going to talk to you about a few things that Mozilla has done in the past and how you can be part of this, and how it actually, a lot of people don't realize that what we're doing is much more than just releasing a browser, and that you actually can be part of all the things that we're doing. And that fascinated me when I started working for Mozilla, coming from a company where I wasn't allowed to talk about everything we do, going to a company where nothing is hidden. And that can be fascinating, because people announce something and it isn't ready yet, and I'm the guy who has to talk to the president like, yeah, this is a code repository, it's not really doing anything else yet. What is a code repository? So it's not that easy. So the web, to me, is an amazing thing. This is connectivity worldwide. And I wish all of that was white, but sadly enough it's not yet. So you see, like, Africa is rather pitch dark, there's not much connectivity there. Australia, funnily enough, only on one side. And what we don't realize is just how much the internet is something new and something different that we didn't have before. I was originally a radio journalist, and then I built my first website in 1996, because I realized you can be in the news of the internet if you have something to say without having to pay somebody or without having to commit a crime to get into the news. Because everybody can be a star on the internet just by publishing something in a very simple manner. And this was an eye-opening experience to me. I was like, wow, so I don't need to be in the radio, I don't need to be a TV star, I don't need to be somebody in Hollywood for people to follow me and see what's going on. And that's getting more and more. The social media thing, like on Twitter, there's people out there that sometimes you tweet something out and 5 minutes later it's offline because so many people looked at it that the server is overloaded, which makes you feel bad, but at the same time you realize, wow, I got impact. This is a wonderful picture of a child that hears for the first time in his life. So he was deaf and he's got a hearing aid in for the first time in his life, and that's how his eyes pop up. Like, oh my God, I can hear. And I had the same thing with the internet. Oh my God, I can talk to people in China without having to travel there or pay a lot of money on my phone to call them, because we're all on the same internet. And it's an evolution of communication for me. It's worldwide reach, and its publication is as easy as consumption. Anybody who goes on the web is already a publisher. Most of the time we're an unwilling publisher because we actually get tracked by websites about where we are and what time of day it is and these kind of things. But you can actually publish things. The whole idea of commenting on the web, writing a letter to a newspaper before that was quite a job. Nowadays you write a comment and it's immediately there, and you gave feedback and you became a publisher of the internet. And it's for everybody out there. The release process is incredibly simple. I can set up a Tumblr blog in like 5 minutes. I can get a website really cheap, set up an FTP server, get my stuff up there. It's not hard to do. It's much easier than producing a movie or producing a TV show or producing a CD. And the technologies are simple. They're easy to understand. HTML is not magic. It amazes me how many people just don't grasp it, that it's a very simple way of describing what text is supposed to be, not painting with it. And it's not exclusive to experts. It's always fascinating when people say, oh, I'm an HTML expert. That's good, but anybody can be that with the right coaching in a few weeks' time. So you don't have to be the specialist or go to university for years to learn something to be in and on the web. And Mozilla is there for the web. We basically were founded as a non-for-profit to keep the web open for everybody because we saw that benefit. And this was us a few years back. By now we're like twice the size, so we can't all meet together anymore. But it's just wonderful to meet all these people that go there because they want to do good things for the web, not just for a paycheck or just for a 9-to-5 job. The interview I had at Mozilla was 4 hours of the best brainstorming I've done in the last 6 years. And I wrote code that went into Firefox as my code exercise in the interview, and not just like, oh, can you write us an algorithm on the paper wall to show how good you are at programming. So what we do as well right now is we open the web for everybody. Like we did this here in the last mornings, like yesterday and today. These pop-up events that introduce people to the web for the first time, that they can be makers on the web and not only consumers. A lot of people don't get this. They just think like a website breaks down and like, oh my god, I made something wrong, rather than realizing it can be fixed by you as well. And we built a few tools with that. One of them is Thimble. Thimble is an HTML editor that just has the code on one side and the result on the other side. It shows you every time there's an error and explains to you what the error was. So instead of asking people to write code from the very start, we give them something that's broken and actually fix it for them and make this world work that before that wasn't really working. And for kids this is amazing, because for the first time they're like, oh my god, I can fix this, I'm in control, I can do something. And I do the same with job interviews. When I interview developers, I don't ask people to write code, I ask people to fix code. Because most of the time we work with other people's code and we debug more than we program. So it's really good to know what is broken and how to fix it, rather than like how to build new broken things. We do the same with video. In video we have a system called Popcorn. Popcorn allows you to take HTML5 video and remix it with the web. So you have a video file and you can show a map on one side in one moment that overlays it over the video. You can sync the video file with text content on the page. And it makes people realize that video with HTML5 is not this black magical box somewhere in the page that you can't touch, but it's just like an image or a paragraph. It's the same as every other HTML element, and you can do things to it, you can style it, you can do really wonderful things with it. And having an editor for it allows people to put like titles in front of their video without having to re-encode it and upload it somewhere or learn an editor. It's rather simple to use. So all of this is incredibly simple. HTML structures content, CSS defines the look and feel, and by now that includes animations and it includes gradients and includes all the wonderful things we had to buy and use Photoshop for. And JavaScript adds interactivity. That is it. And it's amazing how many people mix and match them all the time and get confused. And I need to know JavaScript to do a website. No, you don't. You can write HTML and a bit of CSS, so you don't even need to know that with a thing like WordPress. These technologies are not hard to do. We just make them hard because we want to show off to each other how cool we are in knowing them. And what we do a lot, and I'm part of this group, is the developer network for Mozilla. So the MDN documentation is the only fully open and free documentation for the web out there. So this is all about JavaScript, CSS, HTML, SVG, XML, whatever you want to have there. There's no agenda behind it selling you some tools or selling you some software. There's no agenda behind it getting you to use a certain operating system, because we're a non-for-profit organization. And the absolute best thing about it is that it has these report a bug features and also an edit button. So if you find something in there that is a problem, or you think this is not well explained and you can explain it better, click that edit button and edit it. It's like Wikipedia. It fascinates me when people complain that Wikipedia is not accurate. Well, there's an edit button. You can make it accurate if you know better. It's there to share knowledge with the world, not to be the one complaining about somebody should do something there. And the MDN network has been so long around and has so much good information because people donate their time and just think, I've explained it to myself, I got to share it with the world now as well. And that's the best way of writing documentation. Solve your own problem and describe how you reached your solution, and not just come up with something that you want to describe. So for this we need you. We need this to be actually up to date. If you find something that's wrong, please tell us about it. Best even edit it and send it to us, and we put it live then, or is live most of the time. But more importantly, we just shifted to a new content management system behind it that we've written ourselves called Kuma. And that one has translations. So you can now actually have you have a button next to it where you pick the language and you can say add translation, and whatever language you speak, you can translate the content for the people in your country. And that is sadly enough, or for me confusingly enough, very much necessary. I mean, I'm German, I lived outside of Germany for 14 years, And whenever I write something, people are like, can you get this in German as well? And you're like, you obviously understood it. Why do you want to have it in German as well? So, well, because in German it's better. We had self-HTML and all these cool things in the past, and all of them got outdated so quickly. So translating something that keeps getting updated is a better idea. The interface is really easy. You got the approved English version, and next to it the Portuguese or Spanish or Chinese or whatever language you speak. You can translate these docs for us, and we thank you very much for it, and you made the world a bit better by doing that. So even if you're not a programmer, even if you just found something out that you thought was interesting, you can contribute to a lot of programmers what they need day to day. And the MDN docs are not only our website. A lot of IDEs, a lot of tools integrate that content because there's an API behind it where you can just get the content in without the website around it. And that's because it's Creative Commons, you're allowed to do that. There's no problem with that. And I think that's incredible because this documentation costs a lot of money if you get editors to do it for you, for example. So the history of Mozilla started with the desktop wars. We had a certain time where a certain browser was ruling completely and said, okay, this is the web. You have to pay for it. It comes as part of an operating system, and it's going to be only for things like route booking systems and email and timesheets and these kind of things. And then Mozilla basically came up with Firefox, and Firefox opened the world up for all the other browsers, including Internet Explorer nowadays, to support standards instead of just building things and saying this is it. To agree standards with other browser makers and with other people in the market that this is a standard to follow rather than just a standard that makes sense for us, deal with it. So without Firefox we wouldn't have the web that we have nowadays, I'm quite sure. It would be something that is only used in offices, and we wouldn't have smartphones. The web wouldn't have become that big thing that everybody can use and use for free. But then shift happened. And it does still. It's like we're not sitting in front of desktop machines anymore and like, well, a few people here are gaming most of the time. We're sitting in front of laptops. We have tablets. We have mobile phones. We got smartphones. The web is branching out everywhere. And Mozilla with Firefox wasn't quite there yet. We just had our desktop browser, and on mobile devices, they came with a browser and it didn't give you any choice. And that was just wrong to us. That was the same mistake we had on the desktop before. You should be allowed to have a browser that is catered to your needs and is smaller than the other one, that is basically coming out of the box and still is something that you own. You should not be targeted and triggered every time you click a button. You shouldn't have to give your information away just to consume something. And that's why we brought Firefox onto mobile devices as well. The other thing, of course, is that HTML5 came around. A certain fruit company in California went up on stage and said Flash is dead and HTML5 is the future and this is awesome and please all buy our hardware and we're going to give you HTML5. HTML5 made the web an application platform. Before that, HTML was there to mark up documents and to link documents to each other. With HTML5, we had local storage, we've got video, we've got audio, we've got all the cool things that we needed to build applications for the web. And this certain company came up and said, like, yes, HTML is the future, please everybody do HTML. Actually, not quite. What we really meant is please build applications that are native to our operating system because the HTML5 thing doesn't really work. So nowadays, on these devices, for example, you couldn't play a sound without activating it. So I couldn't play a game in HTML5 or write a game that has a background sound without the user clicking on it first. And that's just not right. So the same company that said HTML5 is the future is crippling its browser to actually sell you native apps. This is a very paranoid view, but I just cannot think of anything else anymore because there's so many mistakes being made in HTML5, and it annoys me because the webmaker thing that I talked about, the freedom people have by using simple technologies like JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, this should be allowed for making apps as well. Everybody should be allowed to be a software engineer with these technologies. But the limitations of hardware and software and browsers stop us from doing that. And if a company has a lot of marketing materials that says HTML5, then their browser should have a lot more HTML5 as well. And sadly enough, this is not the case. So there's a lockout happening. We got the people with their Android phones and their iOS phones get all the nice and wonderful things, and people who actually cannot afford them will not get them. they get a phone with a really bad experience. Their websites will look shit, and they basically will have to click 5 times rather than getting a nearly nice experience. And this is not what the web is about. This is not what HTML and open standards are about. I should not have to be a member of the having class and be able to afford the newest phone to actually consume things on the web. It's wrong. So okay, we open the desktop, how about we open the mobile as well? So what do we do about this? Well, the first thing is hardware access. This is a mobile phone and all the hardware that's in there. And all the things you can do with them, like geolocation, battery API, sending SMS, doing telephone calls with a phone. Who'd have known that people want to do that? It's incredible. USB, contacts API, full screen settings, web vibration API, which we call it vibrator API, and then lots of stupid jokes happen, so we call them web vibration API instead. So this is live data coming from Bugzilla. So all the things that are green are available for you in JavaScript. All the things that are red, we are still working on. If you know how to build C++ drivers or drivers for Linux cores, look at Bugzilla and fix some of them and make them green. I'd be very happy about this. But it's just incredible that within a year, starting with the web APIs, we managed to give you all these things that in the past you couldn't get. Geolocation, for example, was around since Firefox 3.5. Things like the accelerometer, like alpha, beta, gamma, we had that in Firefox 4, and it's still not available in the Android browser that comes with Android. It's available in Chrome for Android, but not in the one that comes in Ice Cream Sandwich, which is just ridiculous to me. Because if I want to play a game or I want to do some good interface on a mobile phone, I need the accelerometer. This is what this device gives me, and you should always use what the device has to make it as sensible as possible for the end user. So a few of the APIs that we have. We have a web telephony API, which gives you a call state, initiated call, is in call, call ended, and you can control, you can call, you can answer, or you can hang up. A call is coming in, answer it, these kind of things. The source code is available, and you can see it like that. It's as simple as saying window, navigator, mouse telephony, dial, and the number. You have an event handler that gives you a call back when the call is in state and if it's been answered, if it went out there, and you can write your event handler as much as you can do like click handlers or anything else that you do in the browser at the moment. We have a web SMS API. For us, like SMS, really, who does that? But in markets like Brazil, SMS is massive. People send text messages. In England, I see kids with like 5 different SIM cards every month because they got 200 free SMS on each of them, and they switch the SIM card out to send new messages to their friends because the parents can't hear what they text. That's why they do it. So you can find, filter, and view your messages, and you can send and delete and find SMS messages with these systems. Very simple. Again, it's just an event handler. If you've done any Node.js or you've done any JavaScript with the DOM, it's the same thing. You have a navigator, mouse SMS send, on success, on error. You can just do an mm send function with hello world and handle it later on. So all of this is event-based as well. So you basically have full control and know when it happened and know when it failed. This is very important. A lot of code out there in the past didn't do that. Battery status is important, and that actually works in Firefox nightly on desktop as well. So why would I want to read the battery status? Because probably before I do a conversion of an image or I do a massive animation, I tell the end user, actually you only got 10% battery left. Shall I turn off the animations of the application so you got 15 more minutes of answering your emails? So you can interact with the hardware that way. You can turn the screen on and off, you can change the brightness of the screen and the lock state, and you have network info as well, where you know it's that person is on a 3G, a 4G, a wireless, and give them different image rates or different image sizes accordingly. State is, again, an event handler on charging change. If battery charging, then it gives you the percentage, otherwise you realize it's unplugged. It is a level change event there, and there's again a battery charging event just saying that, okay, you actually are on a power connection, great. I can upload all these videos that you actually had in your phone that you didn't want to upload while you were running on battery. Contacts manager, find, clear, save, remove. Contact find options, find, filter, sort contacts. nothing new there. Screen orientation, you can actually detect the screen orientation, also the primary orientation of the device. Is it a tablet that normally should be held like this or this, which makes more sense for the user? And you have the orientation and the lock of the screen as well, because sometimes you want to have games that don't switch around. A lot of HTML games have that problem that I'm almost there, oh damn it, so I can't play with that anymore. Photo, big thing, like, I mean, some companies get bought for $1 million or $1 billion for making a photo app. Doesn't happen that often anymore, so I don't think that should be your first next startup. But we have all the things in there. It's in progress, it's not quite ready yet. You can set the picture size of the API, the video size, if zoom is supported, effects of the camera, in case there's cameras that come with effects already, flash modes, if flash is automatic or turned on. You can take a picture, start and stop a video recording, focus, set the quality and the thumb size. And thumb size is very important as well for storing in a gallery later on. So that's something we're working on at the moment. That's one of the harder bits to do because you want to have the security there as well, that people can't use the camera without telling you. That might be embarrassing, but it shouldn't be. So WebRTC is a big thing about this. WebRTC, this is a demo in Firefox Nightly that takes the camera and uses a WebGL filter on it, and you put this in front of a geek and he turns into an idiot within 15 seconds like I did here. But you have like all the filters you would ever want to have, and nothing in there is Flash or Silverlight or Java. This is all in the browser, built in right now, using HTML Canvas and WebGL, and having all these different renderers just for your camera in there. WebRTC is also more. A lot of the WebRTC use cases just these kind of things, but you can send streaming audio. You can send data files from one to another. If you want to send 15 meg in a streaming way, you want to make sure they really arrive, then that's going to happen with WebRTC as well. So that's a big thing we're working on. Anand, my colleague, is standing in the back here. He's actually the expert, the man down there. So if you want to have any WebRTC question, he can answer that any time of night. I'll give you his telephone number later. It's going to be okay. So I did this for like 15 minutes, so you don't have to watch all of them. So all of this together, bundled, went into one thing, and that's called Firefox OS, which is a truly open mobile OS powered by HTML5. We did not want to kill iOS or Android. That's not going to happen. But we realized that there's markets out there that can't afford an iPhone, that can't afford an Android phone, but they should have a web-enabled phone. They should be allowed to say on Facebook that the police is doing bad things. They should be allowed to get out there and play games. They should be allowed to take pictures and send them to their friends. And that's why we did Firefox OS, because Android is open, but it's tada source. It's not open source. It's like, tada, we're ready with a new version, and here's the source code 2 weeks later. And fix whatever you want, but we don't give you any information what's coming in the next one. So Firefox OS was from the very beginning an open repository, which was annoying to me because I had to explain to people what a repository was. But it's within half a year, out of a sudden, it's running and it's available. So the architecture is simple. It's Gonk on the base level, which is the same as Android has, the Linux core of Android. Then we got rid of all the Java stuff and basically put Gecko in there. Gecko is the rendering engine of Firefox. It's what Firefox uses to show you HTML5. And then we built Gaia on top of that. Gaia is the user interface. Everything you see in Firefox OS is HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. There's no other technology in that whole operating system, except for the hardware drivers, but you don't have to touch them. So anything you want to do in the operating system, writing apps and changing the operating system, is HTML. So this is what it looks like. The device here that Telefonica people have here, and they actually have a hackathon running right now where you can play with it. It's going to be on sale at the beginning of next year in Brazil first. It's going to be very, very cheap for people to get in comparison to a smartphone. And it runs. It does the job. Here's my colleague here is sitting here in the green shirt. They have these phones here, so if you want to talk to them later on. I've got one here as well, but I'm not going to touch it on stage because it always crashes on stage. Things do that. Computers hate you. As soon as you're in front of people, they will go down. And to me, this is just a start, because it's like, yes, this is what it looks like right now. It doesn't have to look like that in the future. As the operating system itself is HTML, to make a phone that is for your company only, or for senior citizens, or for children, all you have to do is write an HTML page. And this is incredible if you think about it. So if you take a look at the source code of Gaia itself, this is the dialer. This is if I go into the phone, well, let's see if it crashes on me because you got a bit of time. If I go on the dialer here on the phone and I want to call a number, this is what it looks like. Let's quickly go to the camera here. I've got a dialer here and I can just call numbers. And every phone, every one of these keys makes a different noise. Good idea. The noise is actually defined in the JavaScript here as the frequencies that you want to have. So if you want to change that to another noise, you can easily do that. You can play a wave file on each of these buttons if you wanted to. And that is Gaia. You can get it on GitHub. You can find the calculator here, the calendar. All the things are just HTML pages with a manifest file and the JavaScript and the styles to actually make them look the way they look right now. And all of this can be tweaked by you. It doesn't have to be, of course. We want you to write apps for Firefox OS, not tweak Firefox OS all the time. But it's still a step towards a mobile experience that is catered to your needs. I could write with Firefox OS a phone that has a different interface when I have a German SIM card in there than when I have my American SIM card in there. And that's not possible with others that easily. Companies could have company phones with 3 buttons and a logo for their people on the road just doing different things rather than buying an iPhone and then building an app on it and not using the rest of the iPhone or other devices that might be expensive. The apps are HTML and a manifest file that defines the icons and defines what the app is allowed to do. So not every JavaScript can make a call or send a text message. So your app has to actually ask for that permission, and the user then says, yes, this app is allowed to send SMS on my behalf. So we need you for that as well. The documentation again is on Wiki, is on our MDN. It needs translation and it needs you to play with it. So have a go at Firefox OS, because this thing can be huge and it can be wonderful if people like you build something in it, and now is the time to do it. Telefonica are having lots of events going on. They've got money for everybody who wants to have, no they're not, but helping you with all the problems that you have. Again, telephone numbers of those guys later for you. So how do you get started? On the Mozilla Developer Network, there's an apps section that explains what these HTML5 apps are. No magic there, much like any other app out there. You can actually simulate Firefox OS on your desktop if you don't get your hands on a phone, which is very hard to do. You can actually just go to your command line and you have a build script right now on, in this case, OS X, where I just do a make run. And then a lot of like magical green stuff happens, and out of a sudden you will have an emulator on your operating system. In this case, OS X, but we also have them for Windows and for Linux. And yeah, if you want to use those, it takes a bit of a while because my machine is really old and really doesn't do much anymore. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of a sudden, I've got a simulator here that runs actually Gaia in my computer, and I can see all the things that I showed you on the phone directly in that machine right now, and can do these kind of things with it. And that's quite funky to do, because you don't want to send things to the phone and hope it works out all the time. So, I think we're almost there. What about hardware? Open web device, sponsored by Telefonica. We're not going to build hardware. We're Mozilla. We don't do hardware, so don't ask us for hardware. We don't have hardware ourselves a lot of times. Because another big company that does a big search engine tried to sell hardware by themselves. That didn't work out, so we thought it's not a good idea for us either. Talk to us, talk about us. There's ButuGecko on, ButuGecko is the code name of Firefox OS, before Firefox OS came around. There's ButuGecko and MozHacks on Twitter. MozHacks is me on Twitter, but not my personal account, so only official stuff. Platform mailing list, an open mailing list again. If you got complaints, it will be published in the public. IRC on B2G. There's a B2G repository on GitHub. The architecture is defined on the wiki. Gaia repository on GitHub, developer docs, web API docs, all of that out there. One last thing, if you want to be part of Mozilla and you want to be a guy on stage explaining these kind of things, I'm running the Evangelism Reps training program where I coach people on public speaking and help you out with slide decks and help you out with how to explain things in a simple fashion. So I don't have to fly to Germany all the time. If you want to do something like that, come to me as well later on. I'm helping people out with that because it's always good to share your knowledge. Like, if you are somebody knowing the thing is the only person in your company, you get run over by a truck, the product has a problem. You also have a problem if you try to go on holiday. So sharing the knowledge that you have with as many people as possible makes you safe to actually be on holiday or be run over by a truck. I think the former is the better one. So that's all I have, so thanks very much.